long have we not been recording?
The whole thing.
Okay. And
We're recording now.
And you get. Oh, really? So since Eric got here, does that mean we got to go back and go over my manly toy thing and negate? We haven't gotten to the gay pirate yet.
Pissed off that we have not been recording this entire time.
That's our MO, Dave. If we had something go right in our podcast.
You know what's funny? I was cleaning off digital camera cards yesterday. And
Like you do. Chores?
We were looking for a set of pictures of the last time the cicadas came out. My son wanted to do it 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
And
welcome to Jeremiah Creek. I'm sorry, we joined in the middle of the conversation because I fucked up and forgot to start the recording, I swear to God, I thought I pushed it, and it's right here in front of me, and I should have seen it. I am so sorry. So we'll go over those topics in a minute. Well, at least one.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not paid to come here and talk about stuff twice.
Tell me about your manly toy.
No, you know what? Let's
start
talk
with the Amanda now.
Let's what? We didn't record the Amanda thing either?
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the Amanda thing.
All right, we're going to go back and talk about
Amanda Fleming.
We might kind of rush through these because we kind of already just talked for 10 minutes about.
Should we just do the Cliff Notes?
No.
Okay.
Not this one.
That's a good conversation too. We can't remap that, man. Listen, I think you're wrong. I think we should start on different topics and come back to that when we're not so close to it. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah. So let's talk about gay pirates.
What?
Gay pirates.
Gay pirates? That's what you want to start off with instead of Amanda?
All right.
Knox?
So I went to a burlesque show Friday, and believe it or not, it was kind of a business thing a little bit, and for a friend of mine, Frankie Everly, and
of the Everly Brothers.
No, and
sisters.
Everly sisters. Yep, he's a descendant.
No shit, really?
Yeah, and he runs a burlesque club. So we're at Untitled. It's really cool, and it's a great burlesque. And there's all these women that are almost completely naked, but not completely naked, and all this stuff. And I'm at the front table. I mean, Frankie's got us a great table. Me and these guys are sitting there. We're having good food, good liquor. The performers are paying attention to us, because we're at Frankie's table and everything. What's the only picture I took?
The guy, the gay pirate?
The MC in the gay pirate outfits. The only picture that I took was a dude. That's the whole thing. So we're done now. Thanks for tuning in to Chris's very short, dumbass story.
I thought there was like a whole thing about gay pirates.
Well, okay, there is a thing about drag kings, which I didn't know existed. And I guess, of course they exist, but it never occurred to me they exist.
Oh, you know,
this has to move. I can't. The parent in me is.
We did not. This is Jeremiah Creek. I'm Dave Haynes. That's Bill Garlington. Eric Diamond is joining us off screen.
Neil Diamond's third cousin, once removed.
No relation to the Everly sisters.
Yeah. So the last act was a drag king, and Frank was like, "You guys gonna love this." I'm like, "I don't know. Am I gonna love this?" So it's a woman, and she's in she's got like fake biceps and fake chest and muscles and everything, and then she's kind of dressed like a cowboy, and she comes out and it's this ridiculous song called, I'm 6'7", and Mae West chimes in and goes, "About those 7 inches," and then the whole thing's basically about dick, right? And she's got a whip. She's snapping this whip and everything, and it's a woman, all right, but she's being a dude, and she's working it really hard, all right? And it's just like, the way that drag queens can really definitely look like women, she really definitely looked like a dude, except when you looked at her face. And I have to admit, it was pretty great. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. It was hilarious, and you could not stop looking at her.
Did you find her attractive? As a man?
No.
Like when you used to get really turned on by Bugs Bunny dressing up as a woman in cartoons?
I mean, I don't think turned on is the right word for that. I mean, confused? Yes, I was, as a child, confused by Bugs Bunny. And I was like, "Mom, can I wear a dress?" And then we went to church, and she said no. So.
And then you said, "Why is the priest wearing a dress?"
I mean, yeah. I'm like, I see a dichotomy here, Mom. And she's like, quit using big words, you smart-ass motherfucker.
That's Alabama.
So, yeah, there's that whole thing. Yeah.
I've never been to one of those shows, so I couldn't even speak to
Well, the other performers were almost entirely women, all right? And they were really distressingly attractive, right? And right in front of me. Other people were taking pictures. Even the gay dude sitting next to us is taking pictures.
Burlesque shows, are they like...
There's no actual nudity.
Right. There's no actual nudity, but it's sort of like 1930s, 40s.
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
It's teasing. It's not. It's not strippers.
It's supposed to be classy.
They're not skinny little model type women, right? They're
Well,
lush.
90% of them were.
Oh.
One of them was 4 months pregnant.
Well, how do you know?
She told us at the end. When she came out, they were like world famous burlesque star and everything, and I'm like,
it depends. It depends on the company. Like I've been to burlesque shows where like women are Zoptic and
Yeah.
it's all good.
Zoptic, that's what I was thinking.
I mean,
remember
she
that.
was great, but I thought to myself,
She was
golly.
singing for two.
Well, they made that
She
joke
was-
a lot. They made that joke a lot. And then they had a guy that was a juggler, and he had an assistant, but the assistant's entrance was awesome because the assistant was a dude dressed in drag, but not like great drag, like dressed in drag, like if he was dressing like your sister, all right? Like nothing special. And she comes into the thing by falling off a short balcony during an argument. Like while the guy's performing, she's starting its really loud argument, and so you're kind of like, what the fuck, somebody should stop that, right? And the juggler just keeps on going, and then she goes over the balcony and falls and then staggers into the act, and you're like, oh, this is awesome, because you're like, this drunk bitch just walked into the act, and then she hands him, it's clearly part of the act, but it was pretty fucking great. Turns out they're clowns. That's their job. They're clowns. Right? And turns out there's like clown schools around here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, okay, say yeah, like you just like you know that all the time. But
Well, I mean, I knew that.
I knew of one. I knew in Ringling in Florida there's a clown school, but I just kind of assumed like,
No, there's one. It might be in the suburbs. But
how many
one,
fucking clown schools do we need?
I don't know. There's one in Baraboo, Wisconsin too.
Why it makes me mad. Why I'm upset by the proliferation of clown
I actually
schools.
told my mother-in-law, who's a poor lady, is kind of sick, that my daughter was. And she asked, "Well, what did she decide about college she's going to?" I said, "Yeah, clown school. She's going wants to do some circus stuff."
I wish the fuck my son would go to clown school. That would be awesome. I found out Oxford's got a butler school.
Really?
Yeah, thinking about switching majors right now, man. Go to butler school.
Wait, let's stay on entertainment again. Since
All
we're
right,
in entertainment.
yeah.
I don't know anything about that, but I went and saw a movie last night, and I went to a movie without learning much about it because my wife said, "Hey, this is a movie you like. So let's go see it."
All right.
So right off the bat, I
know she's
been married
wrong.
30 years. I should have.
Yeah.
In fact, she was correct. It was a movie that I would like.
All right, wait, I want to guess what movie it was.
Uh,
Trying to think of what's out right now.
The Fall Guy.
what?
The Fall Guy.
No, but I do. I kind of want to see that. But
It
that's
was great.
that's a movie I probably would wait to see when it was on TV.
Okay, what movie did you go see?
The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
The trailer makes me think it's going to suck, but my friend said it was really good.
It is. I wouldn't go so far as to say really good. It was a fun 2 hours. It was, going to movies has gotten to the point where it's so expensive, and that my thing about going to see a movie now is like, what do you call it? The law of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Has gotten pretty high. So there's most movies I go to see now. I'm like, I got a 70-inch TV. I would have rather sat and watched that at home.
Because you can pause and go pee,
Right.
make a sandwich.
But it was a fun 2 hours. One thing that was funny was I about a quarter of the way through the movie. Now, I knew nothing about this movie when I walked through the door. So a quarter of the way through the movie, I'm like going, this is weird. This kind of looks like a Guy Ritchie film. Sure enough, it was a Guy Ritchie film.
Yeah.
I did not know that until the credits rolled at the end.
It's
Just
kind of
because
a perfect
I
story
didn't do
for
any
him.
research into this at all. So
It's based on a true story.
it is based, yeah. It took some Guy Ritchie. They took some liberties with the true story, but the fact that it's written on true story at the end of the movie, they kind of said a little bit about what happened to the characters who were real, and after that, but they only told a little bit about it because then I went and looked them up afterward, and it was kind of depressing because other than the woman, Marjorie Walker, I think it was. none of them survived the war. They were all.
I mean, they were putting themselves in some pretty
Oh, yeah.
precarious.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, survival was not high on their list.
no,
you
yeah,
know, of
and
priorities.
none of them survived the war.
Well, also they had a mole, a German spy in. They had cracked the British codes, and so every time they sent SOE guys into France, they would either immediately pick them up or they like their life expectancy was like 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, and
I like the other one, the TV show based on those guys. This is Rogue. Rogue Heroes. Oh, it's awesome. It's
I
like,
never saw that.
remember Rat Patrol?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's the desert version of Ungentlemanly Guys. It's based on the SAS. It's all real. It's the beginning of the SAS. And these guys play real people. You can look them up. And oh my God, it is some back of the bus rebel shit. And it's one of those things. You know, war is fucking stupid. It's gonna suck. You don't ever want to be there. It's the worst possible situation you could be in. But shows like that make you think, I could make it work. You know?
it was interesting too that the actors Henry Cavill played the main character, and he was pretty good. I didn't even realize it was him for a while.
Yeah, because that long hair and the beard and everything.
Yeah, and and also when I looked up the movie afterward, I was surprised. I never is he English?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's English.
All right, because there was a thing in the story about him that because Ian Fleming was in the movie, so this guy who who Ian Fleming based James Bond after loosely.
Yeah.
So, in after the movie, one of the things they were talking about, like the little goofs and stuff in there, is that the Henry Cavill was actually there's a lot of people want him to play James Bond, which I never knew.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So that was interesting. Alan Ritchson was in it, the guy who plays Reacher, and
It's all biceps.
he was. It was pretty interesting. He was about half of it was pretty good acting, and half of it was Reacher. So
Yeah.
when he does the fighting scenes and stuff, it's like that's when you really see this is the same guy.
I hate that I like Reacher because I'm really like my opinion about the one man with a gun trope is I don't have a very high opinion of it. I think it's a problem. You know, I call it Liam Neesoning.
Yeah.
And but Reacher's pretty fun.
Yeah. Richard's good.
It's dumb. It's so dumb and
dumb.
it's fun.
I like Cavill. He's a huge nerd.
Yeah.
Like his
Yeah,
hobby
yeah.
is Warhammer.
Yeah, like big time. I think he sponsored it for a while or something. A lot of people in Hollywood are into stuff like that. D&D in Hollywood is a networking. I told my daughter because she just moved out there. She's living in Studio City right now. I'm like, you need to get in on some D&D games because you're going to rub shoulders with people.
Yeah.
You know, well, I didn't actually tell her that. I told her mom to tell her that. So, fucking.
Yeah, we still
goddamn
play
it.
every Friday.
D&D. Man, you know, I wish that I could really get into it.
Did you ever try?
Yeah, I've written an entire game. Like I have an entire world.
We are the same person. 'Cause I did too.
Yeah, I mean I have a whole book and everything about it. I did it for a story for the magazine, and I tried to run a couple of games, and I'm like, this is great, but I'm too lazy to do this. You know, that's the problem. Is D&D is work, man.
I played when I was young. I haven't played.
Actually, it's so we play on a thing called a virtual tabletop. So it's software. It runs over the internet, and it does all the math for you, like all the dice rolling and all that stuff. You just say,
Does it put maps on it and everything?
yeah.
Oh, fuck you, man.
Oh, it's great.
Fuck you. That sounds cool as shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, invite me over. I'll do it. I'll play.
All right.
My world's called Anis Flacilis, which is rubber duck, and it's based on beer. And there's a spell called Anis Flacilis that no one is allowed to use because it's an infinite supply of rubber ducks. It's a stupid fucking. It's the dumbest. Yeah, but imagine it, all right? But imagine it, okay? Like they never end. Like there's a, we're not gonna get into that because we'll never come out. I watched the movie too. I watched this movie thinking it was gonna suck, all right? And it was unfrosted. And I got to tell you, that is
How is that?
funny as.
Are you kidding me? The review. I really wanted to go see it, and I was going to go see that in the theater. When we started talking about going to see a movie, I was going to go see that, but it got such a bad review.
Fuck those people. It is
I
hilarious.
think Richard
man.
Roper said it was the worst movie in a decade.
Fuck him. It was great. Okay, granted. What's his name? Seinfeld cannot act. He is not acting. He's just saying lines. He's a shitty actor. Who gives a fuck? It is a fucking hilarious movie. It is brilliant. It is brilliant. Here's what I think I might even write about it. Here's the thing about it. It is brilliantly stupid. All right? It is
Like Barbie was.
No. More like Something About Mary. All right? Just completely ludicrous. It's Airplane for breakfast foods. Okay? Completely ludicrous, and it has every single character in it is a well-known comedian, even like the background people. Yeah. Well-known comedians. They're just fucking hilarious.
Well, I was into when I first heard about that he was making it. I thought it was. At first, I thought it was sort of like a Ford versus Ferrari type thing with the.
I mean, it kind of is.
And then I thought it was going to be all. Is it all?
No, it's none of it's animated, but it is Ford versus Ferrari because it's Kellogg versus Post.
Okay.
All right, it is. I'm telling you, man, it's a good fucking movie. Has it got some dumb jokes in it? Yeah, it's got some. Fuck yeah, it's also a very dumb movie, in the same way that like Airplane was really dumb, but it's dumb by people that are super intelligent and experienced and successful at comedy. So it's like highbrow dumb. It's highbrow lowbrow is what it is. It's high lowbrow.
Go see Fall Guy.
What?
Go see the Fall Guy and see it in the theater.
Yeah, I got a problem with it.
Why?
What's his name's in it? What's
Ryan
the guy's
Reynolds?
name? Ryan Gosling. Yeah.
What's wrong with him?
He's in my Jake Gyllenhaal column.
What?
Oh.
I have a problem with
actually,
Gosling,
one of the
man. I don't
reviews
know how
I
to
read.
explain it.
One of the reviews I said was that I read was basically making the same argument about he plays the same character and everything. And
He's okay.
No,
Elizabeth?
He's hilariously funny in this.
Yeah.
The script is amazing.
I'm not defending my position. All right?
You know what?
My position is based on literally nothing.
When I first saw that, I was like, I can't. We've really gotten to the point where we're doing. Everything is a reboot. Everything is a something else. I mean, and it's like I'm getting tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. Lately, at home we've been watching The Wonder Years.
Yeah.
Not the original one. They did a reboot a couple years ago with Dule Hill, and it's all a black family.
What are shows from our childhood that haven't been rebooted yet that would be really fucking stupid, but we'd still watch it? I'm gonna go first. My favorite Martian. I would fucking watch that. All right, but it would. How different?
I think they did reboot that.
No way.
I think they did.
No.
Yeah. I think there's a
Really?
movie. They did a movie of it.
It's like everything's. I mean, but we've gotten to the
Did they
point
make
where
it
the
serious
Fall
though? And
Guys-
like,
No, it's a comedy.
the Fall Guy is getting. How about Heart?
But here's the thing:
Heart to Heart.
The Fall Guy is a comedy. It's flat out a comedy. Like there's nothing. The way that they rebooted it, and there's like these wonderful like 80s and 90s references. Like so, if you grew up watching it, like this is a movie made for like Gen X, right?
wait, grew up watching what?
Fall Guy.
What the fuck is the Fall Guy?
That was
Lee
Lee
Majors, Colt Seavers. It was after the $6 Million Man. It was his next series after.
Yeah, he plays like a stuntman who like solves murders and shit.
Yeah.
It was an incredibly dumb show. But they just sort of leaned into it. And
How do I not know of a whole TV show?
I can look back now and say it was a dumb show, but I mean, I did watch it almost every week.
We watched the $6 Million Man. I don't know about you, but I thought it was high science.
I mean, it was hilarious. The action was amazing. I mean, of course, the stunts were great. Like
I'm trying to think of what. That's a good
Emily
idea.
Blunt is hilarious. Like,
Well, she's always great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I might take him out of my Jake Gyllenhaal column of ridiculous actors. I can't stand Jake Gyllenhaal.
Did you ever see The Nice Guys?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but funnier.
You know, the thing about The Nice Guys is... The thing about it is I'm a snooty bitch. That's the thing about it. I am a snooty bitch. I admit that I'm a snooty bitch.
Yeah.
My standards are bizarre and they make no sense. And I'm like, I like one movie for a reason and hate another movie for the exact same fucking reason. I don't have it. Nothing I do makes any sense.
Well, we walked out of there, both my wife and I, and we don't often agree on movies. Like sometimes one person will like it more, but we just felt like we got our money's worth 2 hours.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
I remember you sent me a text about it. Like, go watch The Fall Guy. No, and because I thought Jake Gyllenhaal was in it, and I just looked at your text and I said no.
I wonder if they could reboot MASH. You know
That'd be
what, though?
tough. That would be
I don't
tough,
think
man.
They don't reboot shows that were really successful. Like
Mr. Ed, could you reboot Mr. Ed? All right,
no,
but he's a non-gender horse. All right, he's a non-gender stallion.
like they rebooted Dallas. They rebooted.
God, that was so long ago. It doesn't. It'd have to
rebooted Knight
reboot.
Rider.
I Dream of Jeannie. Why don't they reboot I Dream of Jeannie, man?
Who would star in I Dream of Jeannie?
Oh, fuck. Shit. Now we're getting real. All right. And Anna Winberg Joy, whatever her name is, the girl with the Queen's Gambit.
She's a little weird looking.
Yeah, I mean,
Margot Robbie.
Sydney Sweeney.
yeah.
Nah, she's too old now.
What? Don't go there.
It's got to be like Sydney Sweeney.
I want the girl from Game of Thrones that had the weird smirk.
I don't remember her.
The weird smirk.
Oh, fucking Jesus, man.
Like the woman that was in the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Her name was Eliza Gonzalez or something like that. She'd be good.
Please ignore me while I look something up on the internet.
Who would be Major? Who would be the Larry Hagman role? What was his name? Major
Major Nelson.
Major Nelson. Who would be the Major Nelson role? It has to be somebody not quite middle age, because majors are in their 30s.
And he also can't be a really good actor. He's got to be a pretty good actor.
Well,
right?
I don't know if that's
J.K.
true.
Leno?
If you really
Fuck off.
if
Fuck
you
all
really,
the way off.
if you really wanted to, like the Fall Guy, sounds like they turned it into something really good, as opposed to a cheesy 70s.
Yeah.
But you could go weird, like Benedict Cumberbatch. Right?
Yeah,
you could
he's
get
a
really
little-
weird with it like that, or like make a serious I Dream of Jeannie.
That to me would be like a waste of talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
this
it's
is
gotta
what I'm thinking of. I can't even read her name.
Emily
be-
Clark.
Natalie Dormer.
Natalie Dormer.
oh,
yeah.
Natalie Dormer.
My wife will not let me put her in my 5. So she would be great at it. See, this is
Julie
okay.
Bowen.
All right. Oh, so I can't remember who she is, but I know that I know who she is. All right. And I have to agree with you. I think maybe we should start like a Facebook page or something that's just us recasting movies, like doing this,
Yeah.
right? Because people would be totally. You know what? We should just do it. Just to do it on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, and recast it like that. Like, okay. Let's do a live action reboot of Johnny Quest.
I never saw Johnny Quest.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Dave. How could you grow up and not see Johnny Quest?
Never saw Johnny Quest. I would say Speed Racer, but you know what?
They did it. Yeah. And you know what? They did it really well, but it still sucked.
Yeah.
Even though they did a great job, but it sucked.
There's a way. You either have to do it. I don't know. Sometimes, like he says, The Fall Guy was a really good movie of a reboot of a cheesy 70s show.
Yeah.
So you could make it really good, but people are going to have in their mind the cheesy 70s. So people our age are going to have in their mind the cheesy 70s show. So it might not go over the top. So you could either make it, you could go along with the cheesiness and make it a Ron Burgundy type thing, or you could just do what they did and go
Well,
over the top.
Unfrosted did it right, man. Because
But that's a new story.
right, it's not based on anything, but there's a lot of references to the early 60s, and there's references to television. It was really, really great. I mean, spoiler alert, in the third act, all right, when they're trying to figure out the name of Pop-Tarts, they go to the firm of Draper and Draper, and it's Don Draper and his other guy, and they're in their offices, and he's like he's doing the whole Mad Men thing to them, and they're like, why are you so mean? It was so fucking unexpected and so incredibly funny. They could definitely pull that off.
Yeah,
Gilligan's Island, but it's dead fucking serious,
Chris
just
Evans.
dead serious.
Chris Evans.
Yeah, he could do that. Yeah, that would work.
Chris Evans.
Captain America.
from
Oh yeah, that would work.
who would be in a dead serious Gilligan's Island? All right. Benedict Cumberbatch as the professor. All right.
I would say, but he just died. The guy who played the captain of the Titanic on Titanic, that white-haired.
Fuck, I have no idea who
Very
you're talking about.
very dignified actor.
Who would play Gilligan? You know, don't say Jake Gyllenhaal. Just don't even say it. All right. Emo Phillips.
It's got to be somebody young.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say he might not be that young anymore, but the kid who played Spider-Man.
Tobey Maguire.
No, the younger kid who played Spider-Man.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't
The one
watch
who
that
played
shit.
him as when they did the teenage. He's still in high school.
English guy.
He's English.
Yeah.
Everybody's English,
They're all
dude.
English.
Everyone's fucking English. When I found out that the guy that was in Billions, all right, not Paul Giamatti, but the other dude, and I found out he was English, I was like, God damn. And when I found out the guy from Walking Dead, which I only watched it because I had to sit next to my wife while she watched it. I hate that shit. But when I found out that dude was English, all right, I was so mad because they filmed that fucking thing in Georgia. And they couldn't find an actor in Georgia with a southern accent. Come the fuck on, man. Those guys, you don't even have to dress them up. They will show up with camo. I mean, you don't even have to try. You know, I really remember when I had the society for the Southern Gentleman Society for Southern Gentleman accents and movies about Southern gentlemen or something like that. They used to sponsor our show. I used to write letters to TV shows and say, "We are appalled, sir. We are appalled at your use of an English actor."
All right, so wait. Let's get back to
Emily
something
Blunt does. She's English, right? Is she?
Emily Blake.
Blunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does a great American accent.
You know, Kate Blanchett. They got a movie coming out.
Oh yeah.
I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, "Oh, this looks good." This is one I would not spend money to go see, but and it's like it's not quite a super. It's
It's like a space pirate.
Yeah.
Adam Driver is Gilligan.
No, he's too old.
It doesn't matter.
And too serious.
Exactly. It's a dead serious Gilligan's Island. Like Adam Driver. It's like Lost, but it's a Gilligan's Island.
I guess David Duchovny as the professor.
Oh, God, that would be perfect.
Wilmer Valderrama as Thurston Howell.
Who? How do you know people's names?
The guy who plays Fez on the 70s show.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Now he's a serious actor. So.
No, that would really work. Yeah, it would really work.
What the hell? Oh, I was looking up our topics because we got to switch topics now.
Yeah. Oh, well, oh, yeah, I lost mine.
All right, here we go.
Because I'm good at stuff.
The man bear meme question.
Yeah, I had that on there, too.
We'll do the man bear meme question, and then we'll do Amanda Knox.
Okay. Well, I fucked up with that whole thing this week.
All right,
You were on my thread, and
when I did not see the post, and I had no idea what you were talking about. I was just making fun because I would have loved to see people bashing it. So can you please explain what the hell the man beam? Because I have no idea. And
Okay.
even when I looked it up, I couldn't figure it out.
so somebody posed a question on Facebook or somewhere, and it was, ladies, or who would you rather have your daughter in the woods with, a man or a bear? All right, and then it went to women. It's like, women, who would you rather be lost in the woods with, a man or a bear? And women are all women are like the bear, and men were like, what the fuck, why a bear? And it's about abuse, and it's about sexism, and it's about all those things, and it's about how women generally think that the bear is really, there's only two things that can happen. It'll either attack you or run away. But, men, it's very likely that they'll attack you. That's the way women look at it. Like, it's not going to be a good experience with the man in the woods, all right?
What
It's
about
a-
a bear man?
It's a thought experiment. It's a thought experiment, right? And no one expected it to be big, I'm sure. It was just somebody posing a question.
That's
But
like the Roman Empire meme.
it's exactly like that. No one expected it to go fucking crazy, but a whole bunch of men got out of shape because, and so I didn't know what it was. I knew it had something to do with sexism and abuse and stuff like that, and so I just asked a question: hey, what's with this bear versus man thing? Well, that was a mistake.
So why? What people were?
People just like the first thing that happened was a friend of mine named Al Shaw. Friend is generous. All right, I hope you're not listening, Al. Fucker. And he was like, well, a bear will support you even if you don't like him or some shit like that. It was really dumb. And his son, who I love, Robert Shaw, who I'm really good friends with, just started like in on his dad, like all these feminist things, And well, a bear won't rape you and make you have the child and raise it and not let you get an abortion. Just bam, bam, bam.
Yes, it will.
Okay, and then like somebody else did, and then a friend of mine who was just neutral about the whole thing posed a question to Robert, and Robert came back and he poorly typed his response, and it seemed like he was calling my friend a rapist, which he was definitely not, and it just went out of control, and I was like, this is not why I'm here. All right, I'm not this is not the party I was hosting, and and you came in with the like, wow, you know, and I don't even know what you were referring to, probably everything. And then all my women friends were just going ham on everybody. And they might have been going ham on me a little bit. I'm not, because I think some people thought I was being disingenuous. Like I was like, hey, what's with the whole man versus bear thing? And I wasn't. I really didn't know what was going on. I want to know where it came from. You know, that's what I'm asking. Big fucking mistake.
Wow.
And it just got out of control. So finally, I just deleted the whole thing. And I can
ask my son. He's a memologist.
He is. He's a what?
A memologist.
Wow. I deleted the whole thing, and then I wrote this whole thing about the thing that you read.
Yeah, that's what I read.
Like I'm just, I'm first of all, don't be dickheads. It's so easy not to be a dickhead. You know, the way you do it is don't be a dickhead. And
the first step, don't.
Yeah, and then a lot of the people that were being dickheads were really quiet after that. Like no one responded to it, but a lot of the women came on and they still had things to say.
On that meme, like
yeah, even on that one.
I saw Lauren's response, but I didn't. Is there more after?
Nah, there's still more going on. They're not quite as vociferous as earlier, but it's still and the whole man versus bear thing is still going on. Women are still posting about it, and some of them, like, all right, some of my friends from way back in the day when I lived in Florida and stuff, and they're friends on Facebook now, right? I haven't seen them in 40 years, but I'm like, yeah, I know who they are, you know. Some of them might want to go to school, all right, on both sides, because this is definitely political, all right, and it's not just male female political. There's also a conservative liberal thing going on here in the background a little bit. And so what's not conservative liberal in any way is that all of the people who are angry, all of the people that are angry are fucking stupid. All right? All of them that are angry are fucking stupid. It is fucking stupid to be angry over something like this. If somebody says something dumb, that's an opportunity to fuck with them a little bit, sure. But to go ham on them?
To just
it's
get
so
angry and respond.
Yeah, it's so like no, like okay, I get it, you know, and this is where the women, if we were doing this online right now, the women would step in and say, "Here's why we're angry." Okay, we know, we know why you're angry. We're aware, all right. Not and then here's the not every man thing. They're like, don't even bring it up. Don't even say not every man. So of course I wrote, well, not every bear. that did not go over well either. So I stuck my foot in it, you know. But and so now my question is, what's the next one gonna? Because we had the Roman Empire thing, you know, which was like how many times a day does your husband think of the Roman Empire or your boyfriend or everything? Which I'd never thought of the Roman Empire, and these dudes are all responding like 3 or 4 times a day, and they're dead fucking serious. Yeah, and I'm like, what the?
I think I would say every couple of days.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
I like history.
I know, but I mean, there's more. Why is it the Roman Empire?
Well, I like history.
Why aren't you thinking about Byzantium?
I have several fantasies.
I can think about Byzantium.
I was thinking about going home today and doing the what TV show needs to be remade.
No, I think you should.
Maybe I'll go home today and say, how many times a day does your girlfriend
wait.
think of Edwardian England?
No, I think those same people. I would first of all, Elizabethan.
What did I say?
No, it's Empire.
No,
it's
yeah,
Empire.
no, but
Jane Austen.
He said ask women how much they have to think of the Edwardian Empire. No, Elizabethan would be.
Edwardian did exist.
Yeah.
I know.
It's all those like romance.
But the
novels,
Elizabethan
like
era was with the Virgin Queen. You know.
Okay, sorry guys. Sitting here with 2 historians, nerds.
But I think if you go and you say, hey, you know what? It's time to do a reboot of I Dream of Jeannie. Let's cast it. Who should be in the cast? You will get those same people going, really? You want to see a woman locked in a bottle wearing nothing but a nightshirt?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Very much so.
Those same will, because I bet you now you will get a lot of things to talk about how misogynistic I Dream of Jeannie was.
Well, there's some truth about that. I mean, a lot of the.
But they'll be angry about it.
Well, yeah, I get that. I mean, it was misogynistic in a very broad sense because it was fantasy about the perfect woman. All right, she's locked in a bottle and she does whatever you tell her to do, and she's hot as shit. You know, I mean, that's basically your barely post puberty fantasy right there. All right. But it was also fucking hilarious, and I loved it. It introduced us to Barbara Eden, who was one of the sexiest women that's ever lived. You know?
I met her about 20 years ago,
Fuck
and
off.
she was still. She had to be close to 70.
I don't like you anymore.
She's still alive.
No,
right?
no, she passed.
No.
Yeah, they
But
buried
I
her in
met
a
her about
bottle.
20 years ago, and she was still hot, even after all these
Yeah,
years.
Julie Newmar's still hot. She's like 82 or something.
Well, hell.
So it changes your. So there's a 5, and then there's the additional 3, like the ancient 3, your ancient 5.
All right, so let's finish up with Amanda Knox because I really wanted to talk about that because I also, of course, know the topics we just talked
So
about.
as we know, Amanda Knox, for those of you who haven't been paying attention,
Come on, this thing
was a rampaging murderous tourist in Italy who killed
or now we'll
19
definitely
people.
Never get her to come on our show. No, Amanda Knox was wrongfully convicted of a murder in Italy
Those guys love her.
years ago. She was wrongfully convicted of murder, and so she now has a podcast that she does where she looks at cases where she thinks that people are wrongfully convicted, and she does it in conjunction with that television show that tracks murders.
It's not Unsolved Mysteries, but it's something like that.
I can't remember the name of the show.
Yeah.
And so she matches up whatever story they're talking about, she talks about. And she doesn't have to come to the same conclusion. She does all her own production and research. And she wrote a story in The Atlantic, which you made fun of me for reading The Atlantic. So.
I didn't make fun of you for reading The Atlantic. I'm praising you for reading The Atlantic. I am constantly impressed by your scholarship. You know, I know. I just did it. I didn't even try.
Sandy was just walking past.
Yeah, I didn't even try.
So she wrote a story, and she wrote a story about Jen Soren, who was convicted of murder, along with his girlfriend, of killing his girlfriend's parents in, I think it was Connecticut, back in 1990. And then, and she had believed for years that he was wrongfully convicted. He eventually got parole. Him and his girlfriend, I can look up the name, but it doesn't matter. The girlfriend's not really part of the story.
See, those guys disagree with you.
They were both deported. The girlfriend went
England.
to Canada and changed her name and has not given any interviews, so there's nothing to do with it. But Jen Soren is still always trying to get his conviction thrown out. And so she spent a lot of time researching. She did a podcast on it. They did the story that you saw on television about the case and presenting it as if this guy possibly was wrongfully convicted. And she continued to investigate after the podcast.
Amanda Knox continued
Amanda Knox did.
Yeah.
And Amanda Knox came to the conclusion that she was wrong. And that she now believes that he is guilty and he did commit the murders. And she wrote a 3,000...
She's the champion of the rightfully convicted.
But she
The
wrote
wrongfully rightfully convicted.
a 3,000-word article for The Atlantic, basically detailing everything she did, all the research she did to come to the conclusion that he was wrongfully convicted, and then the continuing research, which led her to believe that he had been correctly convicted. And my thing, other than the fact that what you hate is that it kept my attention. She was a very good writer. This story was very interesting. I'll send it to you. But the other thing was, I never hear anybody say they made a mistake, especially about something like that. Especially when you do it in public. You don't see politicians, you don't see lawyers, you don't see anybody going, you know what, I've looked into this further, and I think my first initial reaction was wrong. I think that this guy's guilty.
What's wrong with people? How hard is it to say I'm wrong?
I think we've gotten to a point in our society where, you say that, you get bashed. And one of the reasons I'd be interested in talking to her is I'd like to know what the reaction to this article is. I would like to find out. And I think I'm going to reach out to her on Twitter or something to see if she'll.
Come on, man. I mean, good luck. I hope you do. I hope she comes on our podcast. That would be great. I mean, I would have to read something.
I think part of it. I wrote an article. I haven't published it yet, and I'm not sure I'm going to. But you okay?
Sorry, I have a really fucked up back, and occasionally it just decides to stab me in the kidneys for no apparent reason.
Oh,
Yeah,
You look like a woman who's 9 months pregnant there for a
Just
second.
ignore me,
okay.
please.
Yeah, part of it is like so. I was doing an article about sort of how online profiles make it so that you're sort of compelled to come out with sort of like moral hot takes.
Yeah.
And then if you admit that you're wrong, somehow that's an admission of weakness, right? Like you're wishy-washy, you're flip-flopping, right? And the
Or
truth
your
is-
scholarship is poor. I mean, weakness there's various ways to look at it, right? Weakness in general, weakness, but also that you're wrong, which means that you didn't do a good job to begin with, right? Which is not true, but that's another way people can look at it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Yeah,
interrupt you.
no, it's fine.
You said it like,
It's-
yeah,
it's-
it's fine.
it's-
like your wife said, it's fine.
But there's a whole movement right now about performative morality, and I think that's kind of what's
Yeah.
partially.
That's a good
it's-
way of putting it.
It's partially what's behind a lot of these, like, college kids on campuses protesting Gaza, right? Like they're protesting things like it's not their fight.
No,
You know what I mean?
and you know what I heard? I have heard a term that it applied to this before this past couple weeks. I've only heard from Bull here. They're LARPing.
They are.
They're LARPing.
Well,
they're
so-
trying to relive the '68.
A little bit.
But part of it, like I said, it's performative. It's performative, but to their credit, you're supposed to be doing this at that age. Like their brains.
Yeah.
I read a really good article about this. They talked about how people don't like your frontal cortex, your prefrontal cortex doesn't fully mature until you're like in your late 20s.
63. Oh, what?
Well, in your case,
In my case, still like jelly up there. Still like jelly.
right? So they're not really thinking it through. I mean, it's funny. Like when I talk to people about this, most of the people who take these positions, like they don't really have any sense of the history.
No, but here's the problem with that. There is you see these when they're clearing out. First of all, they're clearing out these encampments, and half the people that are there are in their 40s and have nothing to do with the colleges. Maybe not half, but there's a large group of people that are there who are protesting and egging these kids on who have nothing to do with their college, and they're not going to get any blowback. They're not going to get any.
They're not going to get kicked out.
Yeah. And
Their grades aren't going to
there's-
suffer.
And then the professors who are getting involved in this are just asinine, and they should know better. They arrested that one woman. It wasn't in New York. It was somewhere in Missouri.
Austin?
I don't think it was Austin. I think it was Missouri. But and CNN plays the scene where she's getting arrested, where this cop just grabs her, puts her down on the ground, handcuffs her, and she's screaming, "Why are you doing this? I'm a professor. I'm just here to help. I'm a professor. I'm just here to help." And then several hours later, the rest of the video comes out that CNN decided not to show, where the police officer is arresting a kid for something, and she comes up and whacks the police officer in the head. Then the part that CNN shows on, and then they show where she's walking away, and she goes, "I don't understand what he's so upset about. All I did was lightly tap him on the head so that he'd get his attention." And it's like, are you fucking kidding? You're a 60-year-old college professor, and you don't understand. You don't get to hit police officers
Or people.
yeah, or people in general.
People in general. You don't
You don't
get
get
to
to
hit 'em.
whack them on the
you
head
don't
to
touch
get their
'em.
attention
Unless you're a cop.
and to sneak up on them too.
I mean, unless you're a cop.
And the truth of it is that it's an enormously complex issue
oh yeah,
between two indigenous peoples that are fighting.
we have nothing to do with.
Well,
We don't have any boots on the ground.
I mean, we have dollars.
I was talking to somebody at my dad's Easter thing the other day, and I said, and he started going into well, we shouldn't be giving money to Israel, whatever. And I go, wait, if you want to have that argument, that's a valid argument. It's a different argument from this. This has nothing to do with that.
No,
that's
it does.
not what they're talking about.
It does have something to do with it.
No.
What the students are calling for is divestment in Israel.
Yeah, but not by. They're not talking about the United States sending foreign aid to Israel. No, they're not. They're talking about Columbia University buying things from Israel. That's what divestment means. They're not calling for the United States not to help Israel. I mean, maybe
they're calling for the university to do it
in
as
a
an
broader
example.
scheme of things. But that's not what their issues are. When they give a list of demands, that's not one of the list of demands. The demand is for their college to not hire any Jews, or or they're and plus now, if you want to talk about divestment and people want to influence their college for that, hey, what people do with your tuition money, I'm all for. You can go ahead and say it.
And there's venues for that.
The part that I don't like is what these people are saying is basically kill all the Jews. They're being Nazis, and I hold no truck with that. When you're wearing a keffiyeh and you're saying, and I hate getting involved in this because it's going to piss people off. But when you're saying, from the river to the sea, kill all the Jews, then I'm sorry, no. You want to talk about whether we should send money? We'll have that argument all day long. But
I have a very embarrassing take on the whole thing.
what's that?
The thing that bothered me the most is so dumb. The thing that I was fixated on was, are they going to clean up after themselves?
I had the same thing.
Like, have you seen what they've done to the campus?
Yeah.
It's destroyed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you going to see through? Are you going to take responsibility for what you've done while you're protesting, or do you not give a shit?
Then they don't give a shit.
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the repercussions.
So you know what happened?
I'm sure they did not.
Columbia? The next day, it was almost all cleaned up. And you know who did it?
Who?
400 Jewish volunteers.
Wow.
Well, the other
There you
thing that
go.
bugged me that's stupid, I recognize this as stupid, but it really kind of annoyed me. And this is just in New York people, because I didn't pay attention to what other people were wearing. But the keffiyehs they were wearing in New York,
The what?
the keffiyehs, the headscarf,
Okay.
is royal.
Is what?
Is royal. They're royalty wears it, not normal.
Oh. I don't know anything about that stuff. This
No,
one is
that's
bad.
I looked it up.
No, so the ones that you see are specifically Palestinian. Like in other Arab countries, they wear different patterns and things. But you can get those in any market in Israel. They're a dime a dozen. They're out everywhere.
Yes, because in Israel, Arabs are allowed to wear whatever the hell they want and say whatever the hell they want. No.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's like I said, it's enormously complicated. I used to be a peace activist, I still consider myself to be a peace activist, and it's enormously complicated. Like Hamas is absolutely bad news, absolutely.
But they're not Palestine. They're part. They're not all
running
of
it
Palestine.
Well,
but they're not all of
not running
Palestine.
Palestine. No, but
Right.
they're just running a small part of that.
My problem with the whole thing is this. I'm not a political person, and I try as hard as I can not to be. Like people talk about being an activist. My activism is I do not want to be part of activism, right? I don't want to be part of all that stuff. I decided several years ago that to be truthful about who I am, and the truth is I don't care. I really don't. It's sad for me to say that. No, people are going to be like, "Oh, well, you fucking idiot," but it's like. That is not my life. It's not part of my life. I mean, yes, in a broad sense,
agree
it's a
with
part, but the truth is, on a daily basis, all right, I don't pay attention to India stuff. I haven't thought about Palestinian Palestine until this thing happened. It's not something I give a shit about.
No,
And
if it
you
was
and
just
most Israelis. Like, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
reality is that they built those walls, those huge walls, to seal off the West Bank and Gaza, specifically for that reason. Because they just got fatigued.
Yeah.
The problem is that you've got a really corrupt government there with Netanyahu, and the only way he can maintain his power is by having these alliances with these like religious fanatics who or like, you know,
It's never a good alliance.
That's the way the politics works, though.
I'm just saying, like, but that
I mean, I think,
that is
I think
contributing.
both parties in America are just as corrupt. So.
Yeah, but I'm saying like so you've got this really corrupt government that is encroaching on the rights of Palestinians on both the West Bank and in Gaza, and you're only like emboldening. It's basically like giving fuel to the Hamas fire, right?
But I want to take this in a different direction. I want to take this in a different direction, and a thing that has been. I come from my family, my Chicago family. All of them, and you know this, are viciously political. Like they scream at each other, and they are agreeing on every single point, and yet they're still screaming at each other. What's really happening is they just like to argue. That's what it's about. They love to argue.
So politically, they're all the same, but
they are
argue about
literally
the
identical.
Minutia of that.
Exactly.
Whether you're insufficiently agreeing with me.
So you're making fun of it, but it's so true.
No, I'm not. That's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah, and I'm so sick of it, and I realized several years ago, I'm like, the truth is, I'm not invested in any of this stuff at all. I understand it, right? Like I read the fucking news. I have a brain. I can think about things. I've read history. I know what's going on, but I don't really care. But more importantly, I don't want to talk about it. When they're going ham on it at home and yelling at each other, I don't want to talk. When my brother-in-law brings up stuff like that, he's like, here's what I think about Palestine. I'm like, oh. He's like, what do you think? I'm like, I don't really care, and it offends him to no end. He's like, well, here's why you should care. I'm like, stop right there. Examine that sentence.
But that's
examine that sentence.
That's the whole impetus behind.
Do you really say
reforming
that? What is the response to that?
What is my response to that?
No, what is his response to it? You don't get to tell me what I should care about. Basically.
Yeah, it's an ongoing argument. Because
I mean, I feel the same way. I don't normally talk about it all that much because there's nobody's right.
Yeah,
well,
and the
right. No, but and I am sitting here. I can see when you start talking about these political things, these philosophical things, and I can understand them. Where I draw the line is, if you pay tuition to a school, you should be allowed to go to class, and you shouldn't have anybody blocking the sidewalk and saying no Jews allowed here. That's where. That's
your
ridiculous. Your rights
that's
and
a
6
ridiculous
inches in front
thing.
of my face.
That's a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
Of course, it's ridiculous.
Otherwise, I can talk about divestment, and I can see your point. I can argue it. I'm fine.
I don't want to leave the topic I was talking about though, and that is this that.
Barbara Eden?
No. People get the impression that if you're not a person who's overtly political, that you're an idiot. And so a lot of people think that I just won't get into these arguments normally. All right. I don't do it because I know what's going to happen. It's basically to be political one-upmanship. These are the facts I know. You don't know those facts, so you're an idiot. And so I'm like, yeah, well, I don't really talk about that. And what they hear is I don't think about these things. I don't care about these things. I just want to eat Doritos and watch cartoons. And I don't like that. All right.
No,
but I also don't give a shit if they think that. That's their fucking problem. But my God, the need for people, they need you to be as angry and upset as they are. And it's really, like you said, about the performative thing. What they're trying to do is they want to make sure everybody knows that they've watched the news.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't need people to know that about me.
I know a lot. I said to a friend of mine, it's like, just because people aren't arguing with you doesn't mean you've won the argument. It just means that.
That's a great one. Yeah.
And I also tell my kids, because my youngest is going off to college next year, I tell them, listen, if you get to a point where you are so passionate about an issue that you're willing to do this stuff, then you're wrong, no matter what side you're on.
I mean, if
you're that passionate that you're willing to give up your college experience, or you're willing to go to jail, and because you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
It's better to get your education and change it from within, and calmly state your point. Even if you disagree with me, I'm not trying to convince you to disagree with me. If you disagree with me, to be able to calmly learn and understand and change what you think needs to be changed.
I mean, if you're really fucking serious about your activist point, all right, then you would sit down and look at what kind of real strategy that you could be involved in to make an actual change. Which is why whenever my family is going crazy about Biden-Trump stuff, I'm just staring at it. I'm like, who do you know in local politics? Who are you voting for in local politics? Who are you voting for in local politics? And they're like, well, that doesn't matter. I'm like, that is literally the most important thing you can do.
Thing that matters.
It's the most important thing you can do. And if you're not paying attention to that, then all the other stuff you're doing is no different from people having a favorite football team. Literally exactly the same thing. When these people shout behind us right there, you could have a bar that's just politics and people are doing that. It would be literally the fucking same.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
The thing that bothers me is that nobody cracks a book.
Oh yeah.
Nobody informs themselves, right? Like
well,
that, no. Look, the you know, like I would go on to Threads, right? The Twitter substitute that Meta does.
Facebook's Twitter.
Yeah,
Is that still around?
Yeah. But it's a cesspool, right? And so people are saying, well, I want things to go back to the way they were, before 1948. It's like,
idiots.
Oh, so you want the British to rule? Right? And they're like, no, before that. Oh, you mean the Ottoman Turks? No, before that. Oh, you mean the Seljuk Turks? No, before that. Oh, you mean the Arabic Caliphate? No, before that. Oh, you mean the Roman Empire? Right? Like, how far back do you
And we're
want to
back
go?
to the Roman Empire.
Right?
Yeah.
Like how far
That's a
back do you
good
want to go? It's, like I said,
Although halfway through that, they would have probably said, "Shut up, you're an idiot."
Yeah. something along those lines. They would have.
You're absolutely right. Nobody wants to. They only want to read whatever confirms their priors.
I was just going to bring that up. Is somebody that I regularly don't argue with and shut them down all the time. They are one of the most well-read people I've ever met in terms of how many books they've read. Like no one can compete. I don't know anybody that reads as much as this guy. Nobody can even touch him. But he only reads books that confirm what he believes.
Yeah.
And it's like you
there's
should.
There's a very good book. There's a psychologist named Jonathan Haidt. I just finished his most recent book, which is The Anxious Generation, which talks a lot. That's why I wrote this article, because it's sort of a reaction to this book. But he also wrote a book called The Righteous Mind, right? And they used to think that they used to say that the emotions were like an elephant, and that the intellect was the rider of the elephant, and that the rider of the elephant, like they have this like spade-like tool that they use to control the elephant, right? And they used to think that that's how the intellect and the emotion function together. Yeah. Turns out it's exactly the opposite. It's like people make an emotional, like the elephant goes wherever the hell they want, and all the rider does, all the intellect does, is it rationalizes what is already driving them emotionally.
Your brain is built to do that. Yeah. Robert Anton Wilson wrote about this. He called it the believer and the prover. Your brain is divided into basically two parts, and there's scientific words for them, and I don't know what they are. But one part of your brain is the thing that's very emotional, and it believes stuff. The other part of your brain does not. Okay. The other part of your brain does not refute that. Does not say, "Oh, hey, listen, you should probably read this book." It goes, "Okay, I'll prove everything you believe is true," and it begins to pick things out that prove that you're true. And it's not just about politics; it works in every part of your life. Yeah. And it's a big problem for every single human being.
All right. Well, on that, let's end because I have to go to the bathroom and we're at an hour. So.
All right.
Thank you for joining Jeremiah Creek. We'll do this again hopefully next Tuesday.
Should I do the outro music?